My name is James DeCristofaro, real estate attorney, New York. This is video number 5 in my 5-part video series about residential real estate in New York City. Its title is, You've Scheduled the Closing on a Home in New York City. Now what? And by home, I mean it can be an apartment, it can be a house, it can be a co-op, it can be a condo, any number of those things. It's a home. Now what we're going to cover in this video is what happens at the closing. You've made it through this process, you've listed your home for sale, or you've selected a home, there's been an offer and acceptance, there's been the due diligence period, and now this is what we've all been waiting for, and it's the closing. Congratulations, we're almost there. So let's define it. What is a closing? Basically, it's where everybody gets together in one room, signs the documents, money is exchanged, and then buyer receives, or the seller gives the buyer the keys, and then they go on their ways. The buyer has the keys, the seller has the check, and if everything goes well post-closing, that's it. It's a very, very simple process. Of course, there are things that can go wrong with it, but I wanted to give a little bit more detail about what a closing looks like, because it's not like you walk in, sign, and then leave. That would take less than 5 minutes. Closings can take hours. They should take less than an hour, but sometimes there are issues with wire transfers, or sometimes there's issues with bank approval, sometimes there's issues with documentation, sometimes we have to fix some things, sometimes we have to address other issues, and that can slow things down. Typically, like I said, it should take a little bit, around an hour, more or less. And the reason why it should take a little bit of time or less time is because the lawyers and the other constituents, the title company in particular, the title company, the lawyers, the real estate agents, where they need to put some input and they want to move the deal along. And of course, they have every incentive to move the deal along because they don't get paid unless they do. So everybody's working to get this done. And everything is typically prepared in advance, so that all we have to do is walk into the table, we explain to you what this document is, what that document is, and then you sign it, both sides sign it, their respective set of documents, we put everything together, and you have a closing set. As far as the money is concerned, where does it go, right? There's a sale price, there's a check that comes in, and how does that check get distributed? Now, there's this document that's usually prepared by the title company or the bank, and it's a closing disclosure. And the closing disclosure says when those funds come in particular where they go, and then what the net amount is that goes to the seller. Some of those line items are closing costs, they're document preparation fees that are charged in connection with preparing what's called ACRIS documents. ACRIS is a database where you can see what deeds there are, what encumbrances there are, what mortgages and things like that with respect to a property. So there are these documents called ACRIS documents that the title companies typically prepare. There's a preparation fee for that. There's FedExing fees, there's filing fees, there's real estate broker fees. If there are two brokers, there's a buyer's broker's fee, and a seller's broker's fee. And then there are taxes. The taxes are transfer taxes. They're transfer taxes in both New York City and New York State, and they vary based on the sales price. But typically, or generally speaking, if the sales price is $500,000 or less, and I have to look at my notes here, I don't have it memorized. There's a website out there that calculates it for us, and also the title company and the banks calculate it for us as well. We double check it against what we know, but it's not something that we need to commit to memory. But in any event, just for purposes of this video and for your information, if it's $500,000 or less, the New York City transfer tax is 1%. And if it's more, the purchase price is more than $500,000, the New York City transfer tax is 1.425%. The New York State transfer tax for both of those scenarios, it is 0.4%. It gets a little higher after, I believe, about $3 million and up. The New York State transfer tax goes up. And then getting back to the city, New York City also has a mansion tax for sales of residential real property for $1 million and up, and that's 1%. and it gets up as high as 3.9%. It increases as the sale of the property, the purchase price of the property increases as well. So that's a sliding scale. And that concludes this video series. Hope you enjoyed it.
I would definitely recommend Lawyer James.
It changed my life.
James has done an outstanding job.
But he kept me calm, kept me on point.
I would definitely encourage you to get in touch with James as soon as possible. As a matter of fact, do it now.